Please welcome to the stage the stars, Colin Morgan and Charles Spencer. Exec producer, Katie McAleese. Yeah, Katie is 8,000 months pregnant. And we have the director of the first episode, Alice Stroud. Ashley, we have to start with you. What was the, I love this kind of stuff. I love scary, spooky, ghostly, supernatural things. Was that the starting point? You wanted to do something like that? Was it the period? Was it the Industrial Revolution? What was the initial thing, the spark, if you like?
The initial thing was a lunch from the BBC. And they talked about maybe doing something Victorian and ghostly. And initially I wasn't quite sure how you do that in a series, because most ghost stories, as you know, are short stories or movies, and is there a ghost, oh my god, there is a ghost. Put the ghost to bed and go home. How do you do it next week and the week after when you know there? So it was a tricky one. But on the train home to Somerset, where I live, I was thinking, wow, if you did it in the summer, in the harvest, and it's all looking beautiful for cotton, and you did it at that time when the Industrial Revolution came to the countryside, and way of life that hadn't changed for centuries changed in a decade, and Darwin and Thomas Gold was dead. What an extraordinary time that was in English culture. And yeah, by the time I got home, I was so excited. I phoned Faith back and said, I think Thomas Hardy with ghosts. So a long-winded answer, but that's where I started.
So the setting was key, really. The countryside setting.
It was incredibly key. I grew up in Somerset, and I live there now. And for a long, long time, I've been wanting to make something about those landscapes and those people and those myths and stories. It's perfect.
So, Katie, why did the BBC come up with this idea, approach, and you wanted a kind of scary, spooky thing?
Yeah, I think what has always excited me about this project is that I think there is literally nothing else like it out there. And that's in the combination of elements that Ashley's brought together. Every episode has got a really atmospheric, eerie, spooky story. And it's, as you say, it's set in a really surprising world. So we're not in a kind of gothic city environment. We're in a beautiful countryside setting. For me, above all, it's the characters at the centre of it. I think, having a young couple with that love and warmth between them and all the optimism and hope with which they're starting their journey at the beginning, as stuff starts to go wrong around them and as you kind of get the, darkness in the corner of your eye, you're really worried for them and you really, really want them to be okay. And it's that, for me, emotional character journey at the centre of it that makes it, the way that Ashley's written these characters, that makes it incredibly special. And of course the twist. This is for us the first time we've been able to talk about it in front of a group of people who've seen episode 1. Because normally we have to go, something amazing happens at the end and we can't tell you. So there's this huge other element that just gets richer and richer and richer as the series progresses. So I think there
You're
are...
talking about, so at the end there was a woman, looked like she was holding an eyelash.
You may have seen the little drawings of a figure
Yes,
holding
a
a
hat.
book of light.
I thought it was the camera.
And that, so there is a kind of a big mystery that gets deeper and unfolds as the series progresses. And I think the combination of those elements is just unlike anything else that's out there.
You do love a bit of timey-wimey stuff, don't you?
It's a technical
Screenwriting.
Yeah, it was when I was writing the first draft of that episode. I'd just come to the end and I thought, what is a ghost? I haven't really asked myself that question. Or if its time isn't linear, which some scientists think it might not be, and we could all be ghosts now. I thought, well, I'm going to have a go on an iPad. I'm trying to work out what it's all about later.
Had a plan.
I had a plan, yeah.
So Alex, as a director, this must be like joy, because you've got everything in it. You've got, you've got ghosts, these spooky people being possessed, you've got countryside, you've got dark,
Colin
freaky...
Morgan and Charlotte
you've got-
Spencer.
Absolutely. So in fact, let's talk about the casting. And was that
Yeah.
key? At what point is that important? Is Ashley suggesting those actors, or did the
No,
BBC
what
suggesting
happened to
how
be
that happened?
fair to Alice, when I wrote that first script, they were in their mid-40s.
One-legged. And I came in and said, well, Colin, obviously.
And Alice said, people back then had more responsibility younger, let's put them in their 20s. And that opened up casting for Alice and Alice and worked with Colin, and that's how it started.
So you suggested Colin?
I did. Yes, I don't know if I'm looking at Colin now. I suggested Colin and Charlotte, actually. I'm going to be categorical about this because I had seen Glue, where I think Charlotte was the most luminous thing ever. And I saw the two of them. We did some chemistry reads, and I think it's a really interesting part for a couple, and it was important that they gelled, and these two just gelled. And so that was very special for us to see. And I think it was a bit of a no-brainer from there on, really. The whole cast, I was thinking that what you're seeing in that first episode is you're seeing the beginning of the world that these people move into, and everybody there, from the people sizing to the children to the background artists, my eagle-eyed might have spotted Robin M somewhere in there.
Yeah.
He's literally just walking on with a flambeau. And these people are all coming and weaving in and out of the story of Shetsoy and this town. So it's very much about setting the atmosphere of this place that is going to be haunted, and there's a lot more richness and depth to come.
So for Colin, for you, what was your, when you first set the script and you this extraordinary character, very different, I think, from anything I've seen you in before anyway, what was your first thought?
Well, it was definitely that moment whenever you get to the end of episode 1 and your jaw just drops, that kind of clinked it for me as an audience member, because first and foremost I try and read it from that point of view. And then I think it's the intrigue of the character then that took me in. It's always I suppose it's always the dark, damaged characters that I tend to get drawn to. And there was a feast of that in Nathan. And then discussions that we've had with Alice and yourself and Katie. I mean, it's been very, very open and collaborative. I feel from the beginning we've talked about the journeys and how we want to develop it, and we've all been on the same page. So that kind of creative environment that we had from the beginning was so important and very rare sometimes. I feel in sort of in the film industry, you kind of get that a lot for theatre and the development. And the fact that we brought a lot of I suppose theatrical preparation detail to this project, which totally appealed to me. So it just had all the elements, and I just felt it was a really, really enjoyable and creative, collaborative process.
How important was getting the voice right? The voice is very kind of deep, resonant kind of accent of the voice, isn't it? Did that come quite quickly to you? How did you just kind of do it?
Yeah, I suppose in a way you do all your work and you kind of trust that the work you've done will influence the way a character forms, and you kind of have to do as much as you can for filming before you kind of get on set. But Alice was great because she kind of really insisted on a maybe 2 weeks really rehearsal period before we even began. So we had the whole process of working together, also getting all the supporting artists in and building that community feeling as well. We did a lot of like songs and dances from the day to get us into basically what it would have been like. It's what you do for theatre as well. You build those relationships.
I was going to ask you about singing, because you've got quite a bit of singing. Are you scared? Did you embrace the chance to do a solo bit of singing?
My audition for I don't know what it is.
Charlotte, we took in terms of early on. Yeah, the chemistry you are brilliant together, and I was like backstage. I got to see you're kind of having fun in the green room as well. You're clearly getting on really well. Was that,
Innocent fun.
it, but did that come early? Did you notice that very early on that the two of you had that chemistry?
I mean, I think the sign of good casting is to make sure that your cast get on, to be honest with you. It was such, not just us, but the whole cast really, you have to work together. I mean, it's kind of weird because you meet someone after 3 weeks and you're like, sorry, I'm your wife. I'm really sorry. So it's kind of sort of that vibe. So it's nice that you find some kind of common ground, and we did, and we get on, and he's a lovely bloke, so it's really easy. Yeah, so it is. Everyone was lovely. So.
What did you think of the characters? Because they come across as an incredibly modern couple, like
Yeah.
considering the 19th century setting. Particularly your character, she's fantastically she's that's.
It wasn't very difficult although she's not as posh. You take to them, and I think she's a really lovely woman who means well, and she might go in all guns blazing and might do it slightly wrong, but she means well, and hopefully people fall in love with her as much as I did.
Alice, in terms of the tone of it, because it does go from, there are moments of humour, like that seems is kind of funny, and I guess important to have those kind of moments where you can have some levity and then go to some really dark, horrible, nasty moments as well.
Yeah, I mean, you always have to have releases of tension, I think. Although, I think that builds up, and you start to get that kind of queasy feeling, which sort of is when John dies, and it doesn't really let up. And Ashley and I talked a lot about a genre that we're calling the eerie, and this is a term that Robert Macfarlane, I don't know if you've read his books, but you should, fantastic, Landmarks and the Old Ways, was talking about in terms of Ben Wheatley's film and what Ben Wheatley does, and Edward James, and the sort of quintessentially English ghost stories, mythologies from the land. And this goes back to what Ashley was saying about the land, and so when John dies, the blood goes into the earth, and it's that idea of hungry earth and the earth claiming him. We're around the solstice. We're looking at the solstices as we go along, and we go to Samhain as well in Halloween, and harvest, and the idea that you're present with the countryside, and somehow your horror is generated out of that, and then a lot of animals in there as well. That sort of that you're always a bit closer to nature, and so it's not out and out horror, although. Having just watched what the brilliant Sam Donovan has done with the second half of the series, I would say that it kind of goes more into Sapphire MC's steely sort of Hammer House. Sam is a brilliant horror director, and you need that progression. But I think the sense of the eerie is where actually I wanted to.
Yeah, well, we talked as a group of people right from the start, and we worked very well together. The DOPs and design, costume, everything. It's important that we came from the same place, and we talked a lot about that sort of English tradition of pastoral ghost stories, M.R. James and Thomas Hardy, and that 70s landscape film, those great Hammer films, Rich Pilot General.
I feel like a bit Wicker Man.
Wicker Man, is it Pinder's Friend? That's bizarre 70s.
And Nick Road. I mean, you know what Nick Road was doing
Yeah.
in terms of Don't Look Now. I mean, there is a sensibility there.
It's a very rich tradition, and so much of our television is social realism. I always loved that stuff that is slightly to the edge of realism.
It was interesting because you've got a lot of kind of dark houses and creaky things, but the really scary set piecing is very bright.
It's lucky that house creaks, isn't it? Like silent and well floorboarded. It's very different.
Yeah.
But that big scary that death scene in the countryside is brilliantly done. Did you have conceived of that early on, that there would be this big?
Yeah, that's always been in the first draft, and that was really, we all wanted to try and tell a ghost story when the sun's up and the fields are golden, because it's unusual. And I think, and interesting, being sort of growing up in Somerset, there was always that weird thing about the English landscape that you look at it on a summer's day and it's pretty and it's chocolate boxy and it's John Major's district nurses and all that stuff. You keep that camera running a little bit longer than it should do, and you put a crow on the soundtrack, and it's suddenly a different thing. It's that skull beneath the skin. There was this that our landscape is very, very old. A lot of bad things have happened on it.
Yeah, the sense that you kind of scratch the surface and there's sort of blood underneath. And I think one of the things that Alice and Matt, our DP, have done, have shot the landscape brilliantly, and the atmosphere that we get from that. And I remember you talking earlier on about wanting to capture nature red in tooth and claw, and that sense that, you know, there is a beauty to the wild, but there's an ugliness and a violence, and you don't actually have to look very far to find that.
There's a lot of we talk a lot about TV now being more cinematic than ever, but this really does. I mean, and often I don't think it actually is really, because but this has an atmosphere that does feel cinematic. Was that hard to do? I mean, on a, with all due respect, BBC drama budget, you know. Are there any secrets to getting that cinematic?
I think the ambition is there, and actually what we often find is that people have been talking about cinematic drama for the last 2 years in meetings, and you go in and go, yes,
Yeah.
drama. But actually the thrust and the urge is there simply because we need to keep up with the main stage, and when you're looking at international dramas like most recently Preacher or something like that you're seeing that is television. I think that when we were first watching this, it was True Detective that was being quoted everywhere, but you know, we've moved on from that. That actually, I think we've got the best filmmakers in this country, and there is no reason why we aren't making it. And those projects are now coming through. So that was always the remit from the BBC. Actually, the budget, they were incredibly supportive about making this visual. And again, that's supplemented by bringing in thoroughly amazing composers, about having the scale to work within one place and be able to film it within one place. And you know, I think we wanted to make it feel film it. Everyone's going to be watching it on screens in size, please.
Tell us about the music. The music is
Yeah.
is unique. Kind of does feel unique and bold.
Yeah, I mean, all of these are ideas. It's funny with a project like this because you're allowed to sort of ferment it. And Liz Fraser sang She Moves Through the Fair, and Liz Fraser's from the Cocktail Twins. And I've been listening to her kind of obsessively on my soundtrack because I've been prepping pictures to take in. And we had a meeting with the Insects, with this amazing composer team, Eliza Meller, our amazing producer, who sat there saying nothing but should be lauded in the heavens, brought to the table. And they said, oh, we could get Liz Fraser to do a song. And so the kind of synchronicity of that coming together, for me, that hauntingness, and that she encapsulates that era. And also Reaper's Ghost, which is a song that plays a lot through episode 3 and episode 5, is an old folk song. And the Insects went back and found and sourced all of these old English folk songs.
And you tracked them down by Facebook.
And we we sued them and persecuted them, but that's really important. And I just want to say one more thing really quickly, which is the titles. Poor people, geeks out there. This is from a guy called Stan Brakhage, and I mentioned it to the BFI, and they were like, who? But he's really famous. He's from the 1960s filmmaker, and he compared his filmmaking to moths burning in candlelight. And my lovely husband, Nick, went, have you seen this? This might be really good. And we pursued this footage, and that's what the title sequence is made out of. We got permission from his widow to use it. We were very drawn to that analogy of moths and light, and Nathan's character and how he can't stop himself being drawn. So a number of other cinematic things came to play. Thank you for asking me that.
Pleasure. They've got this lady to do a song especially for the...
Yeah, she's joined in on there's a couple of other things. She's done the keening in the... She's basically collaborative with our composer, and she's cool.
Charlotte, let me ask you, in terms of filming and making, I mean, it's obviously brilliantly creepy to watch. Is it creepy to actually act in, you know, or is it just kind of fun and it doesn't get like that?
There were moments where it was kind of creepy, especially as there was this one day where there was just this fog that we did not need any special effects for that whatsoever. It was just there, and we were like, bring it, film, shoot it. So it was kind of this. It sort of brought its own scary elements. So yes, sometimes it was, but most of the time it was fun. We had a lovely time.
Colin, you'll have to walk around the creepy dark house quite a lot, certainly now.
Yeah, I mean, it's the house is a character in itself. It definitely fueled our, I guess, our belief in it all by being there. And it has to be said, I did see it before all the work that went done to it, and the set design and the team that worked on that. The job it did is absolutely amazing. I mean, the sign of it is that it doesn't look like a set; it just looks lived in. It looks real, and I mean that's all part of it. That's all part of living the parts, living the drama.
That house was really important to us, I think, not just as a location, because we looked at a lot of houses. We looked into a lot of rich people's houses. One of the perks of the job. And they look great outside, and you go inside and think, this looks like it's a Barrington house. And then this place hasn't been lived in for 10 or 15 years, and it had this, as we got out of the van, we all looked at each
We also
other.
went,
It's a bit disturbing, and it's got the pond right next door, which is what the script said it should have. And it meant we could film there. We didn't bother anybody. We're up a little lane. We didn't need to build sets, so we were together as a group of filmmakers and actors for
No phones.
a long time.
genuinely creepy things happening.
Really, like what?
I wasn't there for any of them, but yeah, I stay away from the danger. And our sound recordist left his equipment running overnight to capture the kind of atmosphere. And when they played it back, there were very odd noises on the tape. Is that right?
Yeah, it was, yes. And then he left me there every night. So it was very sweet. Yes, it brought its own hauntedness to it. It was a house that nobody had loved for a long time.
Colin, did you do like research into kind of the kind of thing that your character is an expert in, or in the Industrial Revolution, or any of that, or do you just kind of read the script and immerse yourself in it, and that's enough for you?
I mean, the scripting is first and foremost the starting point, but that spider webs off into all other aspects, which if you are obsessive about a role or obsessive about crafting something, then I think that leads you down other avenues, and just educating yourself about the time period and the Industrial Revolution, what that meant for people at the time, what their psychological state was like, what that did to people who suddenly their beliefs in God, as Ashley was saying, were questioned. The amount of change that was happening, people's jobs were at stake because of all the new technology that was coming in, much like today. People being replaced by new technology and what that does mentally to people. And that's the tightrope Nathan walks between what is a psychological condition and what could actually be something else. And there's something inside him that's traumatic from his past that makes him question both. And that's his conflict. That's his drama.
Charlotte, are you a fan of this kind of? Are you a fan of scary, spooky stuff in general, or is it?
This is, to be honest, I prefer. I'm not really into like gory kind of horror stuff. What I like about this is that it's going back to traditional scary storytelling. So it's like, did I just see that, or did I just hear that? It's more about, I think it goes back to being a child and thinking that there's something under your bed or in the cupboard. It's more about your mind can actually make things far more scary than, showing it constantly. There's an element of that in it. I like.
And what do you think, Colin? What do you think about? It was announced just before that this is going to be all available all to watch in one go. There's a box that you can binge on it. Use the buzzwords of the moment. Are you excited, happy that this is kind of basically kind of a new thing for the BBC to have a drama available all in one go for people to watch? Is that exciting for you?
Absolutely. I mean, it's how I watch TV. It's how I watch drama. I watch it as and when, as most people do. I think now it's it's a new thing for the BBC, but it's not a new thing. It's shows Netflix and Amazon. It's all there for you to watch as and when you want. I think what's great also is we're not forgetting about people who want to watch it week by week and want to watch it episode by episode, because it is airing on TV as well. But I think
spoilers.
No spoilers. So it's catering for everybody. Anyone who wants to watch it as a box set straight away can do that on Friday. And then it's on week by week, and people watch it episode or record it. The options are there. I think that's what's important.
And Kate, in terms of from the BBC, it must be quite a big step, isn't it, to put a whole drama out first on?
I think it's really exciting. I think it's really, really exciting, and I think it's completely right that we are thinking about the way that people watch TV now. I mean, like Colin, I watch a lot of the stuff that I watch as a box set, and you think of sort of iPlayer, it's not really just a catch-up service, it's a sort of a fitting in with your life service. It's how you watch things. So I think it's completely right that we embrace that we give people the choice. So that if you want to, watch it and keep watching, you can do that. If you want to be part of the experience of it happening at a certain time and being part of the conversation around that, you can do it as well. I find it really exciting for this show in particular. As I said earlier, one of the things I love about this show is the scale of the journey that we take the audience on. It starts in beautiful sunlit world and it goes into a very dark, wintry one. And the emotional journey that the characters go on and the performances that these two give are really special. And having, been lucky enough myself to watch the episodes back to back, I think it really rewards viewing in that way. So I'm really delighted that we have the opportunity to offer people that.
I'm going to throw it open to the audience in a second. Actually, let me just ask you, could this go, Karen, this show, is it for you as a series that could go on and have multiple series?
Yeah, it's designed to be enclosed, so you watch 6 episodes and it tells a story, beginning, middle and end. But yeah, I've got unfinished business with these two, I think. There's something about their relationship and their marriage that just really fascinates me. So if people like it, there's appetite for it.
Cool. Right, let's throw it to the audience. Just, gentleman there in the third row, away from Mike. Just come down, thank you.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. First of all, congratulations on a wonderful direction, production and acting. It's homage to The Turn of the Screw, The Innocents, The Lake, and The Ghosts in Broad Daylight and the rest of it. But it's far more ambitious than that, even. At what stage of the production process did you decide to commit to real ambition, breaking through the genre barriers, as it were?
Probably at script stage.
It was before I came in.
Really?
To play, actually, I think. I had that all along.
Do you mean the sort of using the contemporary levels? Yes.
But to break through.
To break through, it's not merely Freud comes to Hardy Country.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange
Mashup. It
is a bit of a mashup. Yeah, right. Really right. Yeah. Freud meets Thomas Hardy with ghosts. That's quite. That's the elevator bit, isn't it?
Well done, anyway.
Thank you very much.
Outstanding.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to the lady there.
Hi, first of all, I want to say it was absolutely amazing. I really loved it. My question is, how important was it that Charlotte's character was such a strong woman? Something I absolutely immediately fell in love with. I love it so. Favourite character so far. So how important was that, and why did you choose to do that, despite the time period?
One of the reasons is I'm a huge Thomas Hardy fan. I mean, from when I was a young teenager, I'm slightly obsessed with Thomas Hardy. I love his female characters. Bashford Everdeen. I just really like it, and it's 1890. It's not that long ago, and so
Still pretty long.
Yeah. But I thought, how can I get away with it without people writing letters to the Radio Times? It's an otherwise enjoyable programme. So I thought, right, when they're with their workers in public, they'll behave impeccably like Victorian landowners would do. But when that last servant goes home at night and they shut the door, they're a modern marriage. They love each other to bits. It's a 50-50 marriage, sensual, and it feels sort of natural. It never felt forced, did it? Or I really, I love what Charlotte's done with that anyway. But I really like. I haven't seen episode 1 for a bit, and I like the fact that she makes mistakes. Fucks up.
Yeah, exactly. That's what makes it.
Yeah.
I think the mistake what lots of shows make with strong women is that they make them perfect.
Yes.
Which is not what a strong woman is. So I thought that was really cool. Yeah, thank you.
And also her photography as a character comes bigger as the series goes on, and that was. I mean, there weren't many, but there were some brilliant Victorian female photographers. So that felt a natural way for Charlotte's character to intersect with the narratives of the stories.
Thank you so much. It was great.
Absolutely, just in front there. I'll go to the back here.
First of all, I just want to say congratulations. It was absolutely brilliant. Question is for Colin and for Charlotte. I would be really interested to know what your preparation process was for the characters, and if I may extend it to Alice and just ask how she would encourage actors to prepare for such a role.
Well, we were lucky enough to have a lot of rehearsal time. So, like I said, it's very difficult. You can't just meet someone and say, I'm playing your wife. It just doesn't, fly that well. But also for me, personally, I find music very emotive. So every character I play, I have a playlist for. So I'll go on Spotify or something and choose any kind of music that's going to get me into that environment. And in the end, we actually had a Living and Dead playlist. So that we send to each other. But it really, that really helps, and we were all kind of on the same page with that, and I think that was my thing anyway.
Yeah, again, the rehearsal process really helps, which is so rare because for film and TV, you inadvertently end up doing a lot of work on your own, and the ironic thing is you can't really be an actor on your own. You have to interact. You have to be with other people, and the fact that we had that concentrated period at the beginning was so important that it really just motored things along and actually saves time and effort in the end and brings natural connection, chemistry. I think what is perceived as chemistry is often just down to a hell of a lot of work. It's the connection that you have, and that can only come through real solid work. And yeah, you just
Have
really
nice people.
Can you tell us some of the things that are on the playlist?
Agnes Ogle was.
We both had Agnes Ogle.
Yeah, it was odd, wasn't it?
Yeah, we sort of met them.
It was. I looked up things and I felt that some of the music like that, Agnes Ogle and I can't remember some of the others. There's this band called the Ducks, DUHKS, I think. It's good. There's a French song in it that I'm obsessed with. And it's very. I quite like the fact that there was folk, but there was also it was almost a little bit Western. Some of it because it was like we were digging up the land and it was like this new era. So there was a lot of that in there as well.
Yeah. And I had 3 versions. Hi, Tamara, who is a great actress as well. I had 3 versions of Another Day. I had the Liz Fraser version, Oliver Coatston version, and Peter Gabriel and Kate Bush, which reminded me of these two, actually. In strange ways. And very often, for me, just in terms of preparation, it's about the things that you're not actually actively doing. It's about the little gaps, it's the little silences, it's the little poses that the actors take when you're not rehearsing, when you're not doing stuff. So it's little moments that they don't know that you're watching as a director, and they often do something and you go, oh, that's it. That's it.
Thank you. Yeah, just behind.
Hello. My question is for both Charlotte and Colin. In what ways would you say these characters challenged you as actors?
I mean, posh. Challenged me. No, I love the fact that she's a strong woman, and but also, to play to play a wife, and to be, in that kind of relationship, and also being a Victorian woman. That it's the hard part was to stifle that need to be a strong woman, and some of the farm workers don't take it very well at the beginning. So it's that kind of thing. But no, it was you'll see. The more I go on Friday, watch it.
Yeah, I think in general it was a very challenging project to work on, particularly not only because of the time period, not only because of working in a marriage and essentially working as a partnership to make it work. I mean, we understanding what it was like for this couple to take on something like that. It was massive. But where it goes, as Charlotte said, where it goes is definitely the most challenging. Just going to those places.
There's a lady just back there on the end of the road.
No, Really well done. I was really pleased with it. I know this is probably a bit of a spoilery question, but I'm going to try anyway. Considering that Charlotte is such a strong woman, is she going to see these modern things, or is it just going to be Nathan? And I'm kind of expecting the answer to be no, and I'm going to ask why
Do you want? I mean,
Tell us to watch on Friday.
Friday.
But the question would be why not or why yes?
Discuss it afterwards.
It was worth a try.
We've got 3 days to go, so gentlemen just there in the middle, so going towards the sun.
I was wondering when this, because of the way the programme is produced and it's going out, is there a censorship issue that you have to consider? I'm thinking of the idea of the duckling that was fed to the pigs. It's really censored, but you don't actually see it.
That's actually a style choice. I think, for the same reason as Charlotte was saying about the corner of your eye being more scary than the overt horror. So for me, the power of suggestion is always much stronger. It was actually a nice piece of yellow cake, if you are. The power of suggestion is always so much stronger. And I think you see more of John's death than you actually do. So in terms of the corner of the eye, the thing that you just missed, that bit in the mirror, the sensation that something's over your shoulder, the feeling that something's behind you, that's where we wanted to pitch it at rather than overt.
I don't think we ever felt that we wanted to be able to be more, we would have wanted to be more gruesome or more graphic. I think, as you're saying, it's what you don't see that's scary rather than what you do. You know, a man going through a corridor of a house at night, and is there something there or isn't there? And that tension and that atmosphere was always what we wanted out of the show. And we talked a lot about the fact that actually often in genre pieces, it's, you know, as you get towards the end and you discover it was the giant slug, or, you know, you see the kind of scary it's not a giant slug. But, you know, and actually that's where the sort of the tension is let out, and it becomes a lot less scary, and you're just sort of seeing the silly effects.
There's a BBC executive going, giant slug.
Giant slug. That's what they're doing next. Yeah, so it never felt like a constraint. As Alice was saying, it's absolutely a tonal choice for the show, that it's much more about the kind of the sense of something uncanny and something odd rather than a kind of full in your face gory version of horror.
And to be clear, an Act 1 choice, because I don't think that it stays like that through the 6 episodes. You know, it can't always tread that same game.
Right, it's not.
So you do need to be accentuating that. And as the year changes, so does the atmosphere.
The giant slug arena.
Yeah.
Like that.
Love that.
What was it like going from something so super modern as Humans, where you're playing half the robot, to basically into this period drama and then going back again? How was it like getting into that mind frame and then going back and stuff?
That's what I live for. That's what it's about, getting that variety, living in different worlds, inhabiting different bodies, speaking in different voices, having different haircuts. It's all part of what I think acting is about, which is just seeing a character, seeing how it's written, the journey he's going on, doing as much work as you can that you feel is relevant, and then trusting that it's all gonna pull you along in some way. And I'm just very lucky that these great projects have come along. They've been so well written. It doesn't have to happen, you know. For an actor, these opportunities don't always come. So the fact they are, I'm you know, always eternally kind of grateful for it. But you just got to keep working. And I think I just relish every opportunity.
Congratulations on the successful outcome. And there's questions for Charlotte and Colin. Did you guys do any preparations for the occupation? You know, like the Victorian female photographer and the Victorian psychologist?
I definitely had to learn how the camera worked. Otherwise, I wouldn't know what I was doing. But no, it was quite nice, and in the end, I sort of got a bit precious about the camera. it just looked. Wasn't there a scene in the bedroom? I was like, we were on the bed and we had to look at the thing. I was like, isn't that camera beautiful? That's just lovely. Like, so yeah, you do, yeah, you had to prepare for it a bit, because also as a character you want to know how she's got to be an expert, so.
You're right, I actually remember that, we saw the camera on the screen and we were like, oh, that looks really great. It was Charlotte, really just to educate yourself in terms of, I mean, for me, you know, in episode 1, hypnosis, you know, what is the correct approach, how's that? Psychological conditions. I mean, all those things, they're useful. You don't necessarily use them or think about them when you're doing them, but the fact you've done the work, it's got to be in there somewhere. So yeah, just anything that you feel is relevant is relevant.
Thank you. I'm afraid we have run out of time. We could talk about such a rich program, we could talk about rounds, but we can't. Like, you can all watch it on Friday, and I'm sure we'll all be binging on it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'm
for the
literally
panel.
at work.
Thank you to everyone.